Okay, everybody, welcome to episode number 41. Welcome to the Daily Crossing. Great having you with us today. Lorena, Alexi, great seeing you guys.
Yes.
A couple of things that we want to cover. First and foremost, we got to talk about the economy a little bit. Some of the stuff that's going on, apparently gas prices are going back up. Not apparently, gas prices are going back up. Inflation, as much as everybody's claiming, the numbers are going down. Prices at the supermarket remain the same. I want to get a little bit of your feedback with some of the stuff that we're hearing from stock market, housing market, and stuff like that. Obviously, needless to say, it's impossible to have a conversation today without talking about the stuff that's going on in Israel and Gaza, right? Especially Israel versus Hamas. The stuff that's taking place. An interesting take from the son of one of the founders, original founders of Hamas, came out and made a few statements against Hamas, which more than likely means that he's got to be hiding to protect his own life, and for the rest of his life, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I want to go back and address the whole issue about the hospital incident that took place, and see again, get a little perspective of that, and we obviously going to close it with politics because. Interesting things happening on both sides, right? Listen, it's very obvious that everybody's looking at our president out there looking a little fragile. You know what I mean? A lot of people are saying we don't know if this man is going to make it even to the end of the term. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you, for me, it's painful. I don't know who his handlers happen to be, and I know that sometimes we become obsessed. We want to win. We want to win elections, you know what I mean? So if anybody's a Democrat and they standing on that side, they're like, listen, I don't care if they're going to prop him up, you know what I mean? But as long as we keep winning, we don't. But it is painful to watch. At this point, everybody's is already thinking about, okay, so what happens next? What happens if he's not able to make it? What happens if he's not able to run? Who will be the valuable candidates? You will be surprised about some of the names that are absolutely at the top of the list. And from the Republican side, somebody that I kind of suggested from the very beginning. I'm going to take credit on that one, right? Nikki Haley, picking up a lot of steam, literally moving up to potentially second place. Obviously, Donald Trump leading by a mile. But anyway, guys, great to see you. Let's address the whole situation with the economy, though. What are you hearing right now? Because it's not an easy economy to read right now.
Yeah.
Looking at the housing market, there are things that are taking place right now that just don't make any sense whatsoever. Right? Lack of inventory, prices going high. You know what I mean? Things that are, obviously interest rates going higher makes it a lot more difficult. It takes a lot more money to be able to have access to get to a property and stuff like that. Stock market. Everybody, again, we spoke about Michael Burry, right? To bet $1.6 billion, to short sell the market. That if nothing else should get you concerned,
Correct.
that's a guy that always has, his pulse on what's going on the market, predicted the last crash. So, but what are you hearing out there?
So me, I don't really pay attention to what I hear. I more so pay attention to what I see. I mean, obviously I do pay attention to what I hear, but I'm more concerned about when I look around, are people buying more things? And the answer is I don't think so. I feel like when it comes to something as simple as gas or food, like most people don't go and fill up their gas tank. They go and put $20 in it. Whatever $20 does is what it does.
Have you been to the gas stations?
Yeah,
And you look at every
ridiculous.
other thing, and it's like,
Yeah, and I don't. For me to fill up my car, it's like $100, like ridiculous, right? But yeah. So, people don't do that anymore. So I feel like people are not in a better position, regardless of whether the price.
Can't do $5 anymore.
Yeah,
because
no.
it doesn't take it.
That'll last you a day. Not even a day. That's like a couple hours, right?
Yeah.
But
Two street lights.
yeah.
Here's $2. I need to get to the next slide.
Oh
right?
my gosh.
So,
So my point is like, whether the prices are going up or down, I feel like people are having a harder time getting gas. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know if one is attributed to the other, but whether the food prices are going up or down, I feel like people are having a hard time having enough food, you know? So I think that's what I'm seeing a lot more of. And then the second thing is this: anytime when they say gas prices are getting better, it's not going back to $1. So even if it's like it went from $4 to $3.50, it's like, is that really better? It's not gonna go back down to what it was when I was a kid. So unless I see that happening, then to me we're still going in the direction of things are getting harder for the average person, you know, within the economy. That's how I feel. So answer: we got to put ourselves in a better position because it's not gonna get better. That's how I feel.
Buying
Yeah.
power.
I mean, Powell raised the interest rate again, right? So this is like the highest, and not the highest, but definitely the fastest we've seen interest rates go up, and so that's going to have an impact. You know, when you're talking about the real estate market, everybody says, you know, there's no inventory, which means it's good. But nobody really wants to sell their house right now to go get into a house. What are they going to do? They're going to rent?
Correct.
Or they're going to have to go get into a house with like an 8% interest rate or something like that. Forgive me for not knowing specifically what the specific interest rate is right now that loans are going for, but it's definitely not the way that it was before. So that's having an impact because there's a lot of people in real estate right now that we're even be able to host, you know, in some of our events and saying, hey, you know, how to be able to maximize the market regardless of the market. So even realtors and mortgage brokers or stuff like that are looking for different things to be able to move their economy a little better. You can see it. It's funny that you mentioned that. We're here in Florida, and you know we have one of the lowest gas prices right now in the country. I speak to friends that are in California, and they're paying $5-6 a gallon on top of the taxes, on top of all of that stuff, and it just, you know, it's really concerning. And you see it in the supermarket. More and more people, you see them just walking around with less and less things.
Correct.
You know, Christmas is right around the corner, and you know people have two options. And I see more and more people saying, because you know you have the individuals that just likes to give gifts to their friends and stuff like that, and they still want to be able to get together, but they're like, man, I'm not gonna be able to gift 20 people, you know, even a $50 gift for 20 people, it becomes a lot, not just family members, but friends. So the whole Secret Santa, white elephant thing, I'm seeing more and more happening right now. Which is a direct reflection of where everybody's economy is.
Sure.
Yeah, but you know, in light of that, you know what I mean, and you mentioned a couple of things that if we just unpack that a little bit, you know what I mean. First of all, we do have a lot of relationships with realtors, mortgage brokers, people that are really part of that market at this very moment, right? And it is very obvious, and now they are openly talking, because you know most people would like to defend their own market, right? It's okay, it's good, it's gonna be okay, it's coming back around. You know, for the first time, now you're having the conversation. We're saying, yeah, you know, it really slowed down a lot. It's becoming a lot more difficult to get the funding to come in. It's and guys, once the money doesn't show up, nothing happens, right?
Sure.
It's that the fact of the matter is that that's a very it's in many ways simple industry to describe. Money's there, everybody's happy. Money doesn't show up, but in general, across the board, that's the way it works.
Think about consumer debt. You know, if I'm unable to buy my groceries with just cash or
Correct.
debit, and I gotta put it on my credit card, that will have a direct result on my credit score. Therefore,
Correct.
I am unable to qualify for a loan. So
Correct.
even if the interest rate were 0 right now,
It's funny you're saying
Yeah.
that, because just yesterday we finished actually doing a recording with a company that the three of us are familiar with. And I had a conversation with Armin, who is essentially one of the co-founders of that company. You know, we spoke about what the average amount of debt today is, or happens to be, for the average compensation that they have out there, compared to what it used to be pre-pandemic, right?
Just for years.
And so for us, I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
but I don't know what were the numbers that you were running into. I was running into an average 16 tops
20,
$20,000, right? And then that shifted. Today, I'm somewhere around
50.
30 to 40, and I am running into the occasional $50,000 to $60,000.
yeah, wow.
That's a big difference.
It
That's
is.
3 times the
Yep.
amount of debt that
Yeah.
somebody
Minimum
Correct.
double.
used to get. Exactly. Worst case scenario. So and then the question goes, what are you doing? Are you hanging out more? Do you go to Hawaii multiple times?
No,
And people are
they're
saying,
not.
no.
No.
I'm
Just
literally
eggs.
buying groceries.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
That's
so
crazy.
that is a significant problem when everything appears to be, and there's 3 components that I want you to consider. One of them is, this is the kind of stuff that triggers for people to say, hey, is there any financial assistance? And man, you start walking that line of dependency with the government,
Correct.
right? State of Florida is not so friendly when it comes to those things, but there's a lot of those states that literally go almost door to door asking people, hey, do you
Mhm.
need
Do you
us
need
to
help?
get
Yep.
us some money? You know what I mean?
Correct.
And then people become very dependent, right?
Mhm.
That's such a dangerous route to go, right? The second thing is, okay, the economy is not doing well. How do I create my own economy, right? Meaning, economy going up or economy going down, how do I understand it
Yeah.
in a way that I can find a way to survive? Guys, that's not an easy thing to do.
Yep.
Sure.
That's not an easy thing to do. But the final thing that I want to tell you is that it is precisely during difficult times that you're going to see phenomenal companies emerging.
Mhm.
Today, one of the largest, FMOs out there, the Financial Marketing Organization, is celebrating 14 years of existence.
That's right.
This is something that went from nothing to becoming one of those companies
Mhm.
that is definitely a billion-dollar company,
Yeah.
over 40,000 agents. It's a phenomenal story,
Mhm.
right? But if you go, and you go, well, what does it mean 14 years ago? I was 2009.
Yeah.
That's when the economy
Correct,
was at
correct.
its worst.
Yep.
So you're gonna see a lot of stories, right? By the way, happy birthday PHP agency.
Yes,
you know what I
yes,
mean,
yes.
for celebrating 14 years of existence. We're gonna see some of those moments taking place
Mhm.
right now, when a lot of people are gonna say, you know what? Not because I was dreaming about becoming an entrepreneur, not because I wanted to go this route. I have no choice. I got to find a
Right.
way to make different money, and
Yeah.
and that's not necessarily. I will take that route 1,000 times than somebody saying, okay, how do I get some food stamps?
Yeah.
But gas prices are going up. Supermarket prices. The prices of the supermarket is still very high. And guys, as long as you see the price of gas again going back up, you have to assume
Food is gonna go up.
that exactly there's
Yeah.
nothing
How
else
do you
that's
move
going to
it?
come down
How do you
because
move
because that's the biggest issue. So and so and then we have the final component connected to the economy is we are going into the holidays right now.
Yeah.
You're stating something that is extremely accurate. You see a lot of people right now making a lot of adjustments when it comes to, okay, what will this holiday look like? You know what I mean? Is it the same amount of traveling? Is it the same amount of people? Will the table look as full as it used to be?
I will add to that. Who is contributing?
Correct.
Like, it's no longer like, come on over to my house, I'm hosting.
Bring something.
It's more of a bring your own chair, food, turkey, like
Yeah.
And let me know ahead of time.
potato.
We might uninvite you. If you just bring in the water, we got
Yeah,
water.
yeah.
Oh, no, right? So,
I mean, it's really scary.
Yeah.
So, but going back to what you were saying, yeah, I talk about adjustments.
Yeah.
100%. And whoever has the ability to adjust, because, guys, this is going to require a few things. First and foremost, mental toughness.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It feels great when you're doing well.
Mhm.
And it sucks when you're not winning or when you're not doing well. So
Yeah.
you definitely got to have the mental toughness to be able to deal with whatever challenges you have ahead of you right now. The second thing is, you got to be flexible enough and open enough to think outside the box. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To see what else is out there, to see what else you need to potentially consider as an opportunity, as things that can be helpful to people. So I'm hoping that. The one thing that we always say is the only bad thing that you can do is to do nothing.
Mhm.
Sure. I mean, just do something, get a little more information, see how you can make some different choices that will help you and your family. You know what I mean? But anyway, guys, can we address a little bit about, obviously, listen, this whole situation already going into the second week, it feels like a long time. $100 billion is the request to
Crazy.
be able to send some money to Israel and Ukraine. There's a lot of people that are already experiencing fatigue with Ukraine. There's a lot of people that are absolutely extremely angry, not just annoyed, but angry about the fact that we're lumping the conversation about Israel with the situation. There's an ongoing situation with Ukraine. At this point, a lot of people in our country are saying, wait a minute, what happened with the rest of the European countries? If the European countries truly feel that Russia is going to be that much of a threat to them, why are we the ones that are? And again, when you're talking about we fighting a war, because we're fighting a proxy war, this is the argument that people will use. You know what I mean? We're not directly fighting against Russia, but we are fighting against Russia. No different than right now, we're going to go after Hamas through the support that we're going to provide through Israel. What's your take on that, guys?
It is crazy to see how.
Because I'm sorry to say, I want to address the money issue first. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Before we go into the whole thing. So, what do you think about? First of all, already the incredible amount of money to secure a border in another continent when we're not able to secure our own border, right?
Yeah.
And billions of dollars when right now we just had a conversation about people going to the supermarket saying I don't have enough money. When you start thinking about the amount of money that we already put out there, and you start cutting a check to everybody, this is when everybody goes like, wait a minute, if you guys are okay sending that much money somewhere else that far away, why don't you send me a check?
Correct.
So talking about that, and you think about now it's two wars, potentially a third one if China decides to just be like, well, they're gonna be weak right now, let's go ahead and go for it.
To take over Taiwan.
It's a conversation that I keep on having. I'm like looking at everything that we're involved in, regardless on which side you stand, whether you're with Russia, Ukraine, Israel, or Hamas, or Gaza, or whatever it is. Like, forget about the names. Just think about the dollar amount that's being sent somewhere else. Who's going to be paying for that? Right? 100%. And by the way, who are they going to ask? The 70%, 80% of people that are that don't have money? Or is it the 30, 20% of people, 15% of people that actually are the entrepreneurs, the one that making the economy move?
Correct.
So our tax dollars are going to be going up, right? And so the Internal Revenue Service, right? The IRS, is that what it's called? The Internal Revenue Service is now going to be saying, hey, we need a little bit more money because we have all of that stuff over there. Meanwhile, at home, right, you have to be concerned about, homelessness. You have to be concerned about a bunch of different things. So it's really annoying and painful to see that once again, it feels like we're funding money laundering to a certain extent.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's how I feel. If you're asking, like, how do I feel?
And it's messed up because I feel like both situations that we were talking about connect to each other. Because I was thinking about what you're saying, and here's what's going to happen. I think that the fact that we're sending so much money other places, it is going to bring up a conversation about what about me? And then what that leads to is more people having a victim mentality. And more people are going to be accepting the help that they shouldn't be looking for, but they're going to want it. And then guess what? The government at some point is going to say, here, take it.
Bigger.
And guess what? Now it's gonna be a worse situation for all of us, and probably not right now. It's probably gonna be, I don't know how many years down the line where we're gonna see the effects of it. Because what's gonna happen is if everybody's feeling bad, right? And it's messed up because I feel like another reason why they're showing us certain things is also to make us not think about what's going on with our own situation.
Yep.
Because be happy. I get it. You can't have as big of a turkey, but at least there's no bombs dropping. So what you need to do is just be shut up and be okay with what you got.
What are you complaining
about? Correct.
Correct.
And I get it, but I feel like it's the wrong perspective to have. So I feel like it's going to lead to a situation where more people are going to have a victim mentality. They're going to be more so looking for these handouts. Tax the rich, forget about what I can do to put myself in a better position. And I think everybody is going to eat up this story. And then now the answer should be, all right, what can I do for myself? But I think most people they're gonna take the route of what can someone else do for me? You get what I'm saying? And then now forget if I'm actually going to do it. But now, if I'm a politician, which we're going to get into next, if I just have the story of I'm going to do all these things for you, that sounds awesome right now.
Except for the fact that, listen, man, I'm seeing a few reporters going like deep into the hood, right? And they're asking, so are you voting Democrat again, and are you voting for Biden again? And literally straight up is like F the Democrats, F Biden, F, and they literally are drawing the comparison. Like there was a couple of people that say, listen, we have no wars going on with the other guy, right? Like literally, you have people that will normally wouldn't even say anything positive about Donald Trump. But now they draw in a clear comparison because they say, listen.
Bring back the mean tweets.
Yeah. Right here. You have people that are saying, listen, we have no wars with the other guy. That's an undeniable fact. And now we are fighting too, by proxy, but we are fighting those wars. We are funding those wars. It's costing us the same way, except for the potential risk of lives, which I don't know how we're going to handle the fact that we are actually sending people. Supposedly, right now there's about 2,000 troops being deployed to. We're sending people to a war theater, right? And so hopefully nothing will go wrong. That would be like the nail in the coffin. But gas prices were lower, right? I mean, let's keep driving a distinction, right? Supermarket prices were cheaper. The housing market was a phenomenal place. Borrowing was easy to do. And you have, especially, I mean, at least you were able to read what was going on with the market. Like we looking into, if you take 4 of the best minds in the market right now, just about everybody's saying something opposite to each other.
Well, one of the things that I don't know if you guys saw the video that Patrick put together, and he says, do not think that the S&P 500 is doing as hot as everybody's saying that it's doing. Because it's saying out of the 500, only 7 companies are carrying the flag. So if you take those 7 out,
we're in trouble.
It's a really bad situation for everybody else. Of course, the biggest 7 companies right now, what is it? Money and all that stuff are being put in place in order for them to be healthy and to be okay. So it's a scary situation because it's again, it feels like we are funding whatever it is that is happening.
And that's one of the
now.
arguments that Michael Burry was making. Or I mean that if the companies that are doing well right now, if just a little moment of hesitation when something goes, it can just take the whole market. But going back even to the war concept, usually wars are good for the economy, right? Puts a lot of people to work, billions of dollars, as you can see, billions of dollars goes into the production of equipment, weapons. I mean, this is supposed to, again, the whole so-called trickle-down component. It's supposed to be moving money around. The problem is that when a large portion of that money physically goes somewhere else. There's a difference when you take the money and you're going to say, okay, we are going to assign $100 billion of goods and products.
I get you.
And once we're done producing that in our country, internally, we're going to send it somewhere else. Then I can see that as a way of actually creating jobs, helping the economy and stuff like that. But I'm going to tell you, as much as we can laugh about the whole thing, to see that many people that right now are saying, no, there's no way in hell I'm going to be voting for Democrats against. Let's see how the whole thing is going to play out for real. But this is a different tone altogether. You know what I mean? To hear people saying those things. Now, in addition to that, though, and let's go into the whole incident of the hospital, right? If there is a place, there's 3 areas in addition to just the regular housing, regular population. There's hospital, schools, and churches that, according to the Geneva Convention, every country has to do whatever they can to make sure that that's a violation of that agreement if you bomb any of these places, right? And so as soon as this happened, immediately everybody, including some of the politicians that we have in our own country, right? We have a couple of Congress people that immediately came out after against Israel, blaming Israel for countries across the board.
Reaction?
One of the reasons, for me, I said two things. One of them was this is either an accident or an inside job. Israel has no problem fighting soldier to soldier. This may not be something that some people are going to like, but there is a different way of fighting. In all fairness, it almost makes it impossible intentionally. Listen, this goes back to the dates of Vietnam. You know what I mean? Where you didn't know exactly where you were fighting. This goes back to the guerrilla fights that was taking place in Latin America, where people, you're not fighting soldier to soldier anymore, especially in that area specifically. You know, your average citizen, people that are dressed the same. You're talking about a lady who, who's coming down with her own child, but you don't know that she's actually strapped with
Correct.
bombs and stuff like that, and is willing to blow herself and her child up just to prove, what her level of conviction happens to be. Politics, religion, all of those things combined makes it very difficult. So for me, this is either an accident or an inside job. It was very painful to see how immediately, it was very embarrassing to see how countries that we give money to decided not to even meet with our president. That's a sign of weakness from our end also. Like that's people looking at our president right now and saying, you know what,
respect.
You're not even a player. We're gonna play outside whatever has been always your opinion and perspective to the extent. I mean, there's no more public disrespectful position that you can take, and then halfway through you boarding the plane and they canceling on you.
Yeah.
That was painful to watch. And I'm saying, why are we sending money to these countries? As countries that right now made it very clear that they have no intention of taking any of the refugees. And how is it possible that you are okay saying that, but then you want Europe and you want the United States, you want Canada, you want, right now, even Scotland, made a statement saying that they are going to take some of the refugees. And I'm saying, why? Why? You have, it's 53 Arab nations. Is Islamic based or Islamic dominated. Why can you not help your fellow Arab? Why can you not everything that you are accusing Israel of doing? Why can you not provide conditions where there will be additional food, water, medical attention? It's the whole conversation, though, at some point becomes so hypocritical, right? There's a lot of pain and suffering that innocent people are going through right now in Gaza. The average Palestinian that grew up in that environment for the last 25 years, 30 years, for the last 40 years, you can go back 50 years from the moment, 70 years from the creation of Israel as a state. It's been nothing but pain and suffering for the people of Gaza. Like, my heart goes out to the average person that has nothing to do with politics, that is not crazy sold out to some of the extreme principles of the religion, to the people that just want to have a normal life. They want to raise their children. They want them to go to school. They want them to one day become a professional, become a good person, right? And they dealing with this kind of situation. For me, it was painful to see how so many countries immediately, because that tells you, listen, man, if you want to know who, I think that sometimes everybody needs a crisis, even at a personal level. You need a little bit of a crisis where it's public enough that you're not doing well enough.
I get you.
So that you can measure who's with you and who's not with you.
I get you.
And I'm going to tell you, if you needed a measure, I mean, we had plenty of examples already going on. I don't know that we need anymore. I think that United States of America by now should be very clear. We don't have a lot of friends out there. And we keep helping a lot of people. And we still don't have a lot of friends out there. So why are we sending money to Egypt? Why are we sending money to Jordan? I really don't understand that, especially when they make it very clear that they are not going to do anything to help. Once it came out that this was, and they can call it all disinformation. Am I open to the possibility that somebody's doing a phenomenal job disinformation? Probably. You got to be open to any possibility. It would be unreasonable for me to say Israel will never do something like that. But you got to go by what history tells you. How do they behave? They put uniforms on, so you're not fighting. It's not a blind fight, even for them. Like right now, Hamas has the benefit of fighting a soldier that is showing up as a soldier, wearing the uniform, making it very clear, I'm representing the state of Israel. They got their flag on them, right? So that makes it a better target, an easier target, probably. But you're fighting a soldier, not
Civilian.
not a civilian, not an innocent person. There is no way you can like, oh, we made a mistake. If you and that was even my point with the whole incident that took place on October the 7th, right? You went after civilians. You went after people that didn't have a uniform, even though you know that there is a group of people. The IDF is an army that wears uniforms, so they have no choice. They don't know who they're fighting when it comes to the people are shooting at you.
Yeah.
Everybody's wearing civilian clothes. How do you know who's the good guy and the bad guy? Who's the person that's going to put a bullet on you?
Yeah.
So once it came out that it was something that went wrong internally, a faulty rocket that supposedly, according to allegedly, right, the narrative is that right next to the hospital, there's a cemetery. And from the cemetery, they're sending the rockets, which is right next to the hospital. Talking about creating conditions, right? They're using the hospital as a shield. That's also a violation of the Geneva Convention. Faulty, falls back right into it. But they literally, and almost in the recording, the question is, why are we keep saying that it happened from us? Which is the suggestion that we have to create the narrative where we're saying that it came from Israel, and everybody bought into that.
What do you think about what's happening? What went down in the capital?
Tel Aviv?
No, here.
Oh,
People,
well, can I ask you a question though? You know, you have a bunch of people that went inside to protest. Why are they not getting arrested?
Right.
Why is it that somebody in there is not going to get 20 years? They didn't break a window? Is that what happens? Why is it that it was okay
So it's
to
not, it's
allow
not
them to
considered an
walk
insurrection.
in? Yeah, what is this not an insurrection?
I'm confused.
You
by
know what I mean? Why is this? And again, the double standard, right? The whole idea, the image that was created, and anybody can come in now and argue, well, there was no damage, nobody broke any doors, any windows, nobody walked into that. But it's the same principle, right? And so this tells you, you know, how much of a delicate situation we have going on when it comes to politics. But the whole hospital situation, you guys were listening to what happened there. I don't know, what was your take when you
The moment I heard it, I'm like, this makes zero sense. Like, why would that happen? I really wanted just to see how things played out. And immediately, you know, well, it wasn't immediately, but it was probably like the day after, the news came out. It was a faulty rocket. It wasn't anything. But it's crazy is that, you know, there shouldn't be a surprise by a publication like it is the New York Times that is like immediately posted, you know, Israel goes and bombs a hospital, and it put a picture that it was like manufactured, you know. So it's like, how are you doing your due diligence? And then people are buying it, breaking into this place. It's just, it's fitting the whole thing. And what you said is so right, which is they're just getting us distracted talking about this crap, so we're not talking about what's going on in our pockets, so that we're not talking about what's going on at our dinner table.
You need a war, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's why, you know what I mean, you need the distraction.
I mean, that's how you elect, right? They're like, we're in the middle of the war, we shouldn't really change presidents.
Correct.
Right?
I want to talk about that. I can't wait to. But yeah. So for me, I try not to feed too much into what the news says, because really we don't know, and like you said, it could be. I would assume that Israel wouldn't, but you really don't know. Like, so I try not to think too hard about what actually happened versus at the end of the day, if people are dying, it's a bad situation.
No, but again, I can only go through what we have seen through history.
Yeah.
And I'm supporting my position.
Yeah.
Again, based on the fact that, you know, guys, there's a big difference. Like right now, for example, you know, like the clearest example that I can give you is what's taking place between Ukraine and Russia. It's soldier to soldier.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's uniform to uniform. It's tank to tank. There is no argument as to whether or not they understand who the opposite side happens to be. That's not what's taking place, and this is one of those environments where people are fighting blindly.
Yeah.
People, you don't know who's the person who's gonna give you a glass of water,
Yeah.
or is gonna put a bullet on you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a different reality. That's a different scenario.
And what I'm saying is, I don't believe in fair fights.
No,
And when
I'm with you.
You get what I'm saying? So,
I'm with you,
So
yeah.
if, like, should they fight fair? Yes.
Correct.
But will they, if they believe that somehow this is going to give me a tactical advantage? I think anyone will find a way to do something that goes against the rules if that furthers their cause.
All right. So let me go with that
you know,
principle, because
yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Your advantage is you can hide among the people.
Mhm.
And you can commingle. My advantage is I can bomb the living crap out of you. So if you're talking about not
Yeah,
keeping
yeah, no, I
fair,
get you,
right?
I get
You
you.
know what
I
I mean?
get
And
you.
so,
And what I'm saying is, I
But
think both will
the
do that.
double standard
I think
is
both will
where
do
the
that.
accountability goes,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Because
Yeah, but what at the end of the day, I'm gonna spin it to sound the way I want it to sound.
1,000%.
You know, because I'm not
Now-
gonna.
How
Yeah.
stupid do you have
So
to
now
be
it
to
goes into the
manipulate?
news,
Yeah.
right? Now it goes into the news. I got a little segment going on also as part of the channel called the Players of the Week, and I was sharing with Nori that Peter Morgan, who's that guy, the guy's not my favorite in any way, shape, or form. You know, sometimes
He's
not.
not.
Sometimes he's not. He's
Okay, I
not.
got you.
Whenever he's interviewing somebody, you know, he's going through a normal conversation, and it's like, "So did you ever cheated on your wife? Is that whatever happened?" He just wants to get a reaction out of
Yeah.
you, and then it normalizes again. And so, did you file your taxes? You know, bro. And like the guy will just like at some point
Yeah.
you're like, what the hell?
Looking
At
for a
some
viral
point,
moment.
at some point,
Yeah.
you have no
That's
choice
funny.
but to react again. I hate those things. You know what I mean? No.
I gotcha.
But in all fairness, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I actually named one of the players of the week on that video that we put together was because more than anybody else, he has brought in people from both sides to try to have a conversation. And what you just described right now, like one of the people he brought in was the Palestinian ambassador to UK. You can't get a straight answer from the guy. This guy is the. If you ever wanted to win a debate contest, that's your guy. You know what I mean? He'll never give you an answer. He'll never commit. He will. You can ask him whatever you want. He's gonna answer whatever he wants to answer you. Like you're saying.
Yeah.
What is the narrative?
better than
that's
Gavin
gonna-
Newsom?
Then that I would 1,000%.
Okay,
Gavin
just
Newsom need to go get some training for this guy. You know, I will tell you that's the real problem though. That when you no longer care about fairness, the truth, the right thing to do, when you don't even care about your own people, and it's all about who wins the argument and the narrative.
Correct.
It's impossible to know. So that's why the only reason why I said I am still open to the possibility,
Yeah.
no matter what. But history tells me
Yeah.
that is not usually the way they do business. Now, can it be like I said, an accident? Then I'm open to that. More than likely, that's not what happened. As a matter of fact, the last person that we need to mention out of this group is Mossab Youssef. He's the son. Today, this guy would have been almost like a prince within the structure of Hamas. He's the son of one of the main founders of Hamas, and came out openly saying, "Listen, this is an evil entity. There is nothing good that's going to come out. They don't care about Palestinians. They only care is a religious principle." So today, not only he's no longer obviously a member of Hamas, he's no longer affiliated to them. He's no longer a Muslim. You know what I mean? He's now a Christian. He said, "Listen, there's no way people can understand faith. Nobody should be able to think that it's okay to hate the creation of God, to create love, to hate life, to hate all of these components that come from the religious component, stream, by the way, religious component, and the Hamas that is only there making it very clear we are here to. We don't want to make peace. We're here to destroy. He makes the connection of Hamas with Hezbollah and Hamas with Iran, which is the one country that is funding everything that's taking place here. But we just gave them, what was it?
Yeah,
It's not just $6 billion. It's almost $80 billion on because we loosened up all the restrictions. So now these guys are making a lot of money left and right.
Yeah.
Guess where that money's going?
So it says, there's a Wall Street Journal article that says how the West and Israel itself inadvertently funded Hamas Islamist organizations diverted humanitarian assistance. Humanitarian assistance.
Correct.
And levied taxes after blockade of Gaza was eased. So exactly what you're saying played right into, so it's like you're funding the same thing that is hurting you. It's just insane. It makes no sense.
Crazy.
By the way, this is something that's been happening for hundreds of years. The Israeli, conflict with.
But when I hear stuff like that, then it makes me think, well, what if that was intentional? What if I wanted them to hit me so that I can have a reason to hit them back, you know?
That is by the way, just so you know, that is a theory that is being passed around.
Yeah.
Just
I'm not saying it did, but it definitely makes me think about that.
Just a week prior to this, there was a lot of civil unrest in Israel because of the changes to the judicial system, and that was introduced by Netanyahu, and that created there was a lot of protesting. There was a lot of issues going on internally. So if you want to unite a country, right, this is the easiest, most effective way to do it. So they say this is the most sophisticated intelligence in the planet. Yeah. And for almost 5 hours, it looks like nobody was ready to do nothing or to respond. How is that possible, right? So that's something that, listen, eventually things are going to play out the way it's supposed to. I want to make sure that at least we take the time, because I want to stay away as much as possible from the conspiracy theory. I just want to address what is actually taking place right now. And I want to address what is good and what is bad about what's taking place right now, opposed to what triggered this, what created that, because again, who's right when it comes to that argument? If I was born in the Gaza territory, right? I'm 22 years old, and all I see is restrictions, pain. If I went to school talking about how to hate Jews, and how if the cartoons that I'm watching are telling me who's the right person that I should be shooting. If every book that I read, Colston, it reminds me of that interview with Jaomi Parks, right? That she was talking about when you went to school, to learn to do math. The question was, if there was 5 American bastards and you killed 3 American bastards, how many American bastards you were left with? Listen, just think about that, right? And so, how do you see all the people if you're being indoctrinated? Correct. So I don't know that there is an easy solution. This takes a lot of courage for somebody, especially somebody that was at that level. Like you say, I would have been a prince, literally. I would have been a prince. I would have been somebody at a high-ranking situation. What I did. As a matter of fact, he's got a book. I think it will be very, very interesting. We'll promote it. I don't have the name of the book. Maybe you guys can find it before we close this conversation. This is something that, unfortunately, the way it's going right now, it looks like it's not going to be a quick situation. I have to mention the incredible amount of hostage that they are holding right now. I hope they will.
Son of Hamas.
Is that the name of the book?
Son of Hamas.
Son of Hamas. So that's the name of the book, Son of Hamas. I think it will be very interesting for a lot of people. Not just, listen, I believe what I believe. I see life the way I see life. You know what I mean? I'm a Westerner. And you take for granted the fact that you learn to see life in a very specific way, right? I'm not claiming to be right. But again, I look through history. I look to how humanity has behaved and the things that we have accomplished. And I think that we are on a better path that some of the things that I see out there, we always had been. We have promoted certain principles, certain ideas, certain from the financial to politics to many things that we believe to be better done and just a lot more fair. But with that being said, I can tell you that it would be a great book to read. For some of the people, there are more in the Islamic side, Arab community, the Palestinian side. I think that they need to get their own perspective and welcome that material as a way of really making an assessment. You know what I mean? Where do we stand? What are we doing here? Is this the right thing to do? Are we doing it right? Are we going in the right direction? Can we accept some of the truth that will be connected to that book. And to the point that you were saying, can we stop just pushing propaganda and have an honest conversation about the whole situation? Because, listen, once you have an honest conversation, you realize that both sides of the aisle do have a good argument. But if we keep going the way we're going right now, there will never be peace in that area. There will never, like, something really bad is going to have to happen. I'm talking about, nuclear bomb type of solution if we keep going the direction that we're going right now. So God willing, that will not be the case. All right, guys, let's wrap this up with what's going on with the election. We're about to be going into that conversation. From the Republican side, obviously Donald Trump is leading by a mile. There's nobody. Our governor, Ron DeSantis, is not moving the needle at all. Guess who's moving up? My girl, Nikki Haley. I was the first one to say it. Nikki, you got to give me that interview. I was the first one to say, she's not a lightweight. You know what I mean? Just pay attention to, she got out there, you know what I mean, is making a case, is doing the rounds. She's showing to be a hard worker. She's everywhere. With that being said, though, when you think about the amount of time restrictions and limitations that Donald Trump has connected to all the cases that he's got going on, the fact that he's leading that, listen, he's in a courtroom
every other week.
Almost every day, the whole week.
Yeah.
The whole day. And he still goes out there, will run a couple of rallies, will run a few things. So, but she's the person coming up. It looks like she has effectively taken out Vivek Ramaswamy. She went after him, and then she went for the Indian girl, went after the Indian guy.
I still that
was
statement.
Quite a statement. I get dumber every time I hear you.
I get dumber every time I hear you speak. I'm like, wow.
Again, what are we looking at? Are we looking at a real vice presidential material? By the way, there's a possibility not only that Donald Trump is not going to show up to the third debate, now even Vivek is potentially saying that he may not show up, which is a way of confirming I got a baseball beating. Yeah. The last time, you know what I mean? That's how bad that shellacking was, you know what I mean? That the guy doesn't want to show up.
That's funny.
So what do you think? Vice president material, or are we looking at
isn't that what she launched her campaign for?
President again. Is that what you think it is?
I think so.
You don't think it was for president? Well, and listen, it's not so bad to be in a position where you can come in as vice president. Then also she will have a legitimate opportunity to transition to president.
The question is if Trump will take her, because last time they asked Trump, he said that no one in that debate stage.
Yeah, but he's got to say that.
Would be.
Because otherwise you're announcing, you know what I mean?
Right, I guess so. I'm just saying.
And if you're announcing, you know that he's not going for our friend from New Jersey, you know what I mean? So,
what do you mean? Krispy Kremes?
Yeah. That's not going to be at the top of his choice. So it's very easy for people to say, well, if it's not this person, it's got to be this person. Yeah. So he's got to say that. He's got to say nobody there is qualified, because he's going to potentially be in a position where he's going to have to truly, he's running against these people right now.
Yeah.
Once that's done and over with, then it's going to be a matter of what position are they going to take. She's a lot more pro-establishment than Trump has ever been about anything, right?
Wasn't that the same case though with Pence?
Pence is over the top. Pence, I can't take.
No, I understand, but wasn't that the move, right?
To make the choice,
2016, to bring that guy in is just to be able to say, I'm pulling the GOP, and then MAGA.
Yeah, no, but at that point, Trump truly needed to rely on somebody that had been part of politics for a long time. Because remember, he's coming in as the guy that had no experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
So you got to have something to back it up.
Yeah.
Right? So that was the right choice to make when it came to that situation, that scenario.
Putting Haley
but
as
now, does he really need somebody that is going to have the so-called political experience after he was president for 4 years? I don't think that's the case. I think he's now, as a matter of fact, the positive thing about the reality for Trump right now is that he's pretty much free to choose whoever the hell he really feels that it will either help the ticket or will be better for the nation. I don't think he has that political need anymore.
Yeah. So I'm not excited about Nikki. I think I think what's happened with Vivek is going to be the same thing. She might pick up some speed now. I don't think it's going to be sustained. Honestly, outside of Trump, I think the number one person is still Ron DeSantis. I don't think it's gonna change.
They are neck to neck right now.
I know right now, but I'm saying this is. We still got time.
All I gotta tell you is, if you know,
Alexi just wants Disney in the picture, and as long as DeSantis is in the picture, Disney is right there.
Guys,
it's like, I've never met somebody that's so much pro Disney, man. Like, it's
I
so
know that we
funny.
come from a very competitive environment where we always said, who cares about number two?
Yeah.
But in this environment,
no, I get you.
Making it to number two,
but
it's a big deal.
It is, but she's not number. I don't think she's looking like it could be the case. I don't think it's gonna actually happen. Is what I'm saying.
We're gonna keep an eye on.
Yeah, that's fine. Ron,
He's saying Nikki Haley
Ron
can't
is gonna
handle this
be
move.
number 2, 100%.
All right.
He's gonna be number 2. I'm telling you.
DeSantis cannot
He's gonna be.
All right, from the Democrat side.
Yes.
Because you're
Your
gonna be
girl,
more,
yeah, you
you're gonna be
have
more
this.
excited
I
about it.
cannot
From the
believe
Democrat
this.
side, here's what we want you to consider, right?
Yes.
So, what is the first potential scenario? President Biden doesn't even make it to the next election, and I don't mean he passes away. He just doesn't. At that point, he said, "Guys,
His triple
I
chin.
can't."
Yeah.
I can't. What happened? Can
I
anybody
just-
explain
I
that?
don't
Is that a
know.
plastic surgery went bad or something?
Yeah.
You're at that point. You go, okay. So he's not able to compete, right?
Yes.
At that level, and then so who is the next person? We've been talking about the governor of California, your very good friends, Gavin Newsom, who, by the way, the guy as we speak right now is in Israel or traveling to Israel. That's
To meet the Palestinians.
That's
I mean, to meet the Hamas.
No, he's going out there to meet with Israel, but
Right.
that's something that you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
When you're
presidential
running.
move.
Yeah.
That's something exactly when you want to be known just a little more at an international level, right? So that's something that takes place. And to me, based on his behaviors, based on his visits to the White House, based on some of the debates that he has participated, that would be a natural choice.
Yeah.
And by the way, that is not an easy ticket. This guy is pretty good when it comes to communication style. He looks the part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a good-looking guy who's going to go in there and he's going to say whatever he needs to say to make it to the election. But surprisingly enough, we've seen a few polls out there.
U-Haul travel internationally because he's gonna be, if he makes it to president, man.
Talking about people moving
the
to
entire
Canada.
country,
People
we're gonna
moving
be
to Canada,
like,
people moving to
hey, back to
Mexico."
Panama.
Well, the thing is that
Pura vida.
here's my only issue with him, though.
You're only
You can't. Well, at the top of all of it is to me the obvious perspective should be, why don't you go fix the problems that you have in your state first before you claim that you have the ability to fix the country's problems, right? As a matter of fact, maybe what you're saying is, listen, by being in charge of the country, then I can also fix the problem of the state. I don't know what the argument is going to be, but that's a simple, basic question that I don't know how he will be able to truly get around it unless he's going to spin it like he always does, never gives anybody an answer. But it is Kamala Harris
Yeah.
right now at the top of the polls.
Yes. I don't know how I feel about it, but I have a feeling that
Tell the truth.
there's a high
You did
there's
it,
a
Alexi.
high probability
We
she
did
could
it,
be a
Alexi.
president. And I don't know.
Yeah, but
if-
it's a high probability in two ways, though.
correct. Either by
Oh my
either
God.
by
Before they used to be
Biden,
only one.
Correct, dying and then
Well,
sure
no,
taking
he
over.
doesn't, guys. He doesn't have to die. That's why you're laughing. You think
But I'm saying that's a possibility.
I don't want her president.
It's a possibility.
It's the second chance.
I don't
It's a
agree with
possibility
that.
she can get it that way, or for
He
whatever
can just
reason.
resign. He can
And
step down
if
if
he
he
does,
becomes president right before.
she's
If
gonna
he's
win.
not going to run,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just as a historical
Yeah.
event,
Yes.
whether we like it or not, but it's going to go down for people that love to buy into this narrative.
Yeah.
That would be, if I know, listen, I'm not going to run. Even if it's only 6 months prior to the
Yeah.
actual election, I'm stepping down.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
there's million things to consider.
It's
but-
messed up. No, not, I don't even know. I don't think the way things are looking right now, Democrats are gonna win. They're gonna win. And if that does happen, then there's a high probability she's gonna end up one way or another becoming
But here's the
president.
last factor that I'm going to throw in.
Yes.
Robert Kennedy Jr.
I know.
running as an independent.
I like Kennedy. I actually like Kennedy.
Let me tell you the numbers right now.
But-
If
go ahead.
if the election was taking place at this very moment,
Mhm.
he's taking 24%
Yeah.
of the Democrats away from the Democrat, unless they do something not.
So I
Legal.
was
The numbers
yeah.
don't add up. But here's another.
They
interesting-
rise from the
But
dead.
here's what
Here's
they'll
another
say.
interesting
Yeah,
fact.
Go ahead.
He also takes about 9% of Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning the people, it's mostly independents that would have gone for the Republican Party,
Yeah.
more than likely will consider
Yeah.
voting for this man,
Yes.
even as a way of saying, I'm
So
deciding.
I was seeing the opposite.
Go ahead.
They were saying that he's gonna actually take more away from Republicans. I don't know what's true or not. Like I said, I'm not a.
No, listen,
and here's the reason why.
at the end,
Because
don't forget, he's
for
a
him
Kennedy.
leaving the Democrats,
He's
right?
a Kennedy.
I get it, but what I'm saying, if he leaves Democrats, is that more of a like a problem with the Democrats, or
Yes.
so he's saying I don't like the Democrats, right?
He was
so
already
then,
carrying
if
all
I'm a
along.
Democrat,
There's something
if I'm a
called the
Democrat,
Kennedy Democrat.
I got you, but listen,
No,
listen,
no, no,
here's
no,
what I'm
no.
saying.
That's a thing.
He was already carrying
I am a
20%
Kennedy
when he was
Democrat.
running as a
Yeah.
Democrat. He was already taking 20%.
I get you.
Now, we can say he's taking 20%, but obviously he wasn't going to survive the primary.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's really taking that 20%.
But watch, look, if I'm a Democrat, right? Which I'm not, right? But if I'm a Democrat,
It's okay.
and I believe in Democrats, right? Then I see somebody says I'm leaving this party because I no longer agree with Democrats. I'm not voting for you. Why would I vote for you? I would have voted for you if you would have stayed a Democrat. The fact that you're leaving, no, I'm not down with that. But now, if I'm a Republican,
Wait a minute. Any Democrat, you know how many Democrats themselves actually asked him to run as an independent precisely because he was not being fairly treated. He was not given the time of the day by most of the news outlets. He wasn't even assigned Secret Service. This is a guy whose father and his uncle
yeah.
was
And like I said,
assassinated,
no, I'm not-
and is the only candidate
got you.
who's,
That's
who, by the way,
last of the Mohicans.
all right.
the president who's a Democrat president,
Yes.
and the two individuals that were assassinated were also Democrats.
I get it.
Is they denied Secret Service protection to
Yes,
this guy who.
I get you. Now, but let me just tell you the other side. If I'm a Republican and I don't like the Democrats, I like you more now because you switched sides. So you are more favorable in my eyes because you're somebody who I can trust because
No, I will send
you don't
money.
like the people.
If you're talking
that I
about
don't
playing
like.
the game,
Yes.
I will send money to fund it. If I'm a Republican, I am sending money for this guy. As money for commercial.
Here's my
here's-
big
so
problem.
here's-
Here's my big problem.
Here's
Go
here's
ahead.
the way that I think about it. What is the worst NFL team ever?
Ever? I don't know.
Probably the Miami Dolphins, right? There are people
I
that
don't
are
know if
still
they're the
fans
worst
of the Miami
ever.
Dolphins.
I'm too much away. I'm too
Yeah, I
much
don't know
away
if they're
from reading
the worst
today.
ever. Yeah, I wouldn't say
I'm
that.
too much away from reading today to
Yeah,
upset.
they had
that.
Dan Marino.
But I don't know about ever, but
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
in the past, you know,
Correct. I
let's
got
say
you. I got
decade.
you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So I think he's got a point there. People are just gonna be part of the team because they're part of the team, even
Mhm.
if it's so terrible.
Yes. And what I was saying is, here's the thing, and I hate to say this. I think you're thinking about it from a perspective that's way too smart. And I don't think the average person is going to think that calculated. For me, I see this being a bigger problem for Republicans. Why? Because of the fact that he represented my team as a Democrat and he left. I don't like you anymore. But from the Republican
Miami
standpoint,
Dolphins.
right, you now are talking crap about the enemy. I like that. So if I'm more likely to flip, it's a Republican who's going to flip.
I'm gonna tell you, the fact of the matter is that this guy comes
I'm
across.
flipping right now. That's just so annoying.
I know, but I'll tell you, it's
This
messed
man-
up. But
this man-
Come
this
on.
if unless something major happens, that could be the move.
To be quite honest
That's
with you,
gonna
this
change
man-
everything.
This man comes across as a decent human being.
No, I like Kennedy.
And even to the people that, because he, for everything that he's accused, conspiracy theorists, anti this, anti that. The fact of the matter is that he was always willing to debate anybody publicly at any given point. He was never backing down for, here's my position, here's how I back it up also with the proper information. But, and by the way, he's accused, well, by now he's a very polished debater. He's a man who, health-wise, very obviously has a little bit of a speech challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you saying that you don't want to debate him because he's the better debater, you know what I mean? That's a little bit, is extremely.
Speech impediment to a speech impediment. What was the debate?
I mean, I don't, but my point to you is that I think that some people, I agree with you, maybe, listen, the overwhelming majority of people are not paying attention to this.
Correct.
Let's be extremely honest.
Yes, yes.
We are hoping that, they see lesbian, black, and Spanish, and then somebody's going to say, we got to pay attention to what these guys are talking about because they look like us, they sound like us. But the fact of the matter is that most people are not paying attention to this conversation. Enough people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm relying on that, and maybe you're right. It's an assessment based on the enough people that are paying attention. That group of people that do want to see us as a country going in a better direction. But the fact that he's pulling from both sides, and one of them has a reputation of having a lot of votes showing up. A lot, not
Last
saying,
And
not
that's-
suggesting
Rising
anything.
from the dead.
Not suggesting anything. All I'm saying is, man, if we don't get a handle on that.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I know,
with that
it's
being
messed up.
said, just we're gonna keep an eye on those
We will,
numbers,
we will.
and we're gonna keep reporting to you guys. Any final takes on this?
I guess the biggest thing that I want to say is I want to go back to how we started the whole conversation, which is this: the economy, regardless of what they say, is not going to get better if you don't do something different. Regardless of whether gas is $1 or $100, if you have $0, you don't get gas, right? So you always got to put yourself in a position to make more money, take control of your finances, take control of your life, and at the very least, before you try to think about who's running the country, think about who's running your house, right? Which should be you, So I'm always an advocate of entrepreneurship, being a business owner, finding a side hustle, finding ways to increase your own economy. So regardless of what's going on out in the world, you're in a better position. So that's my biggest takeaway that we all got to be thinking about.
For me is be active on your own rescue. At this very moment when conversations are being had across the kitchen table, amongst families, seeing what are some of the adjustments that we're going to make. It's what you said, it's your decision to go and say, you know what, let me find a way. There's a lot of opportunity when there is chaos. There is a lot of wealth to be created when there is chaos and when things are not in the right place. I mean, we said it. We're celebrating today the 14th year anniversary of PHP Agency. And it was funded and it started in 2009. And now, we're grateful and blessed to be a part of it. So what happened then is that PHP was part of the solution, right? So not only that, this number one skill that you have to pick up for yourself is sales. You need to learn how to sell the most important thing in this whole conversation, which is you. You have to be able to do that properly. You must learn it. And number 3 is, if you want to have control, then you need to control where your paycheck is coming from, and the only way of doing that is by way of entrepreneurship. So that would be my number one thing, is regardless of what's happening everywhere else, is being able to understand how can you control whatever is happening in your house, so that you have the opportunity to not just have a, oh my God, here is Christmas, but go and have an actual Merry Christmas. And it starts with you making decisions right now.
Yes.
Hopefully everybody can embrace the American dream. My hope is for Hamas as an organization to be completely destroyed. They haven't done anything but, introduce greater pain to their own people more than anybody else around the area. I hope that not a single innocent Palestinian citizen dies. Like I said, anybody that truly have nothing to do with the choices, the innocent people, the children, the mothers that are just trying to raise their children, men that just want to go to work and provide for their families. I hope that not a single innocent person dies. Unfortunately, we already seen casualties that are very difficult. And I hope that Israel will remember that they do happen to be measured by a different standard, just because they do represent something that, in addition to democracy and freedom, There is also a religious component. They are supposed to be righteous people. That is a religious command from the Torah. And so I hope they don't, for any reason whatsoever, loosen up that perspective. So, with that being said, great seeing you guys. Until the next
comment,
one,
subscribe,
please
share.
pass it around.
Yes.
Who do you think is going to win this election? What do you think about Robert
Harris.
Kennedy Jr.? I think he's going to pull more Democrats. You'll see, I'll be right. Anyway, thank you guys. We'll see you. Till the next one.
Yes.